sound. Welcome to the official podcast of Solar Flight Productions and SolarFlightPro.com. This is the show where myself and some other people, and I'm Garrett Ray, by the way, we talk about movies, TV shows, and the news. But this week, before we talk about the movie news, I'm afraid we have to cover some actual real-life news, things that are actually happening in the world. I know this is way out of our normal realm, but it must be done. Earlier on this week, our normal co-hosts, Abby and Micah, were pulled into an interdimensional portal, and they are now trapped in a world where what's good is bad and what's bad is good, and all people do there is watch X-Men Origins Wolverine and eat boiled hot dogs.
Oh, God.
So we're working around the clock to get them back. We've only paused to do this podcast because, I mean, let's be honest, this is important. And we are worried about them. I don't think either of them enjoy boiled hot dogs, and that's the only food source available, so it's imperative that we get them back as soon as possible. So please, dear listeners, if you see a interdimensional portal open at your local library or behind your left ear, as they often do, please grab the nearest cowbell and wiggle it around through the portal. That way they can hear the sound and then escape through that portal while it's still open. We miss them terribly, and we don't think they've eaten in at least 2 days. So, good news is, though, I'm not completely alone, so you don't have to listen to me talk. We have our regular co-host, Katie Fain. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
And we also have our first guest host. First guest host with us today is Emmi Litsenberger. Emmi, hi.
Hi.
Emmi, I know you said you didn't have an intro ready and you didn't know what to say, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who are you?
Okay. I'm Emmi, clearly. I'm a high schooler, and, I just waste my time watching movies instead of homework. That's not good. Don't teach me nothing.
Well, do you want to work in film?
Definitely,
It's homework.
It's work.
Yeah, but we're going to wait till college.
It's fun work.
It's fun, yeah. It's fun work.
It's fork. Well, Emmi, thanks for being here first day. I know I sprung this on you yesterday. It was like, we're missing people and they're stuck with hot dogs. And you jumped right at the chance to do it. So thanks for coming in. All right, so now it's time to do the actual important stuff. Movie news. Everybody ready?
Oh, yeah.
It's a doozy of a week. Last week we had our longest news section of all time. I believe it went for 45 minutes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. It was a lot of news. This week, I'm not going to try and beat that record, but I am going to beat the record for the dumbest news section that we've ever had, because this starts with Sylvester Stallone exiting Expendables 4. So, the one good part of that whole franchise is now gone.
Arnold Schwarzenegger also followed him, too.
Uh-huh.
That was the only two interesting characters in that entire thing.
Yep. That's the next thing I have written down here. Emmi takes over the show and has a knife to my throat. No, wait, that's just Schwarzenegger is left, too. My bad.
You weren't supposed to say that part.
I didn't know we weren't supposed to just read the script.
They just hear the
Those
audio.
were stage directions.
They just hear it. They don't see it.
My bad. I'll add in a knife sound effect. Shing.
Shing.
I'm not going to do it in post. I'm going to do it with my mouth.
Oh.
It's more fun that way. Anyway, so Sly quit after failing to see eye to eye with New Image / Millennium chairman A.V. Lerner over the project, failing to see eye to eye on such aspects as director and script. He said, we agreed on 95% of things. Hold on. We agreed on 95% of things, but there are certain things in production we don't agree on. I don't think it's over, but write whatever you want. Adrian! That's a direct quote. I'm not making any of that up. Not a single word. Maybe just one word. Adrian! So the first Expendables happened in 2010, so we're 7 years into this franchise now.
I never watched any of them.
I watched the first one. My brother and I loved it because it was just like, we love Sylvester Stallone. We grew up with Rocky. My dad is a giant Rocky fan. Not like he's a huge person who's a fan of Rocky. He really likes Rocky. One Christmas, his Christmas present was to go see Rocky Balboa.
I haven't seen. I've seen Rocky, but none of the Expendables.
Yeah. Watch Rocky again, and then imagine Rocky with guns, and also way better than that, and that's the Expendables.
It's weird that I got Rambo in my head.
No, because that's Rocky with guns.
I was like, wait.
It's just him out in the jungle going, Adrian! So no, I thought it was interesting that the first one came out in 2010. I feel really old now because I was like, no, that was just like 3 years ago, right? No, it was 7 years ago. So
This might make you feel worse.
I was 17.
I was like 4. I was very young. Our marriage is strange.
I just told my age.
All right. Well, let's be honest. Anyone who's listening to this probably can't do math, so you're safe. I'm kidding. You can do math. Just, I can't. Schwarzenegger himself played the character Trench in the first 3 Expendables films, but he explains that he knows a few details about the proposed 4th movie in the franchise. He says, I have not seen the script. I don't even know if there is a script, even though they want to shoot in August again, like they usually do. I'll be back, but not for the Expendables. This is just a day of me doing terrible impressions. I'm sorry. So, that's all the Expendables news.
Thank God.
Tell me how you really feel. Justice League, we actually got a little bit more insight about who the villain is. Previously, if you watched the Justice League trailer, which I thought was actually a pretty good trailer, and I'm a little bit excited about it. I'm skeptical, but skeptically optimistic. Words are hard. Words are very hard. So we know a little bit more about the Justice League villain, though, now. He wasn't in the trailer, but it is going to be Steppenwolf, who I'm not extremely familiar with from the comics. But the actor, I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Kyron Hines, I think, who is playing Steppenwolf, says he's old, tired, and still trying to get out of his own enslavement to Darkseid. But he has to keep on this line and try to take over worlds. So I think this is an interesting villain to have, is someone who's not just like, I'm evil, stab a Superman. He's like, he for some reason is enslaved to Darkseid, who is going to be the bigger villain later on in the DC extended universe, and he has to do this. I think that's an interesting thing, and hopefully they do it better than they did with the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was less of a rise and more of like he fell from the sky. So, way to go, people who name movies.
I have fallen and I can't get up.
Fantastic Four: Rise of the Life Alert. So, but outside of the character details, Kyron Hines, I think. I don't know. I'm so sorry, Mr. Hines. Also revealed that his performance is going to be motion capture, because of course it is, and that when what we see on screen will pretty much just be his mouth and eyes. He said, I'm not going to do an impression here because I don't know what his voice is like. You know what? I'll make one up. Basically, they're going to construct something digitally and then use my eyes and my mouth.
I hope his villain sounds like that in the movie.
He comes up, he's just this big hulking thing, and he goes, take me to your leader. I'm gonna eat him. Nom.
Whole Justice League falls over laughing. Movie ends.
It's just Batman going, all right, I'm not dealing with this, I'm going home. Wow, hold on just a second there.
I'm evil.
So we gotta fight. It's in the contract. Just come on. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting thing. We did see him in one of Batman's nightmares in Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, which is still too long of a title. But we see him kind of sitting there. He's got the 3 boxes in front of him, and he's big and evil and scary looking. Or no, it wasn't Batman's dream. It was when Lex Luthor went on the Superman ship. But Katie still hasn't seen this, so she has no idea what I'm talking about.
I saw it, and I don't even remember that.
It may just be in the extended version, because that's the version I watched.
Probably then.
In any case, someone please make this make sense. Stop burping into the microphone,
Sorry.
Katie. We're adults. We have to be professional. Transformers Forever.
No!
Hold on now. You haven't heard what I was going to say. Paramount announced that next year they're going to be wrapping up the Transformers franchise with a movie called Transformers Forever. Oh, no, wait. Hold on. I read that wrong. No, Paramount announced that next year they're going to be making Transformers Forever and Ever Until I Die. My bad.
Oh.
I
was hoping it would end.
I was praying it would.
Yeah, well, your initial fears have been realized as reality.
Isn't there like 14 movies they're approved for?
Way to ruin all of my news.
I'm sorry.
Stop reading ahead in my script.
Just cut that out.
I won't. She won't. No, she won't either. It's fine.
Yeah.
Leave it in. Katie, if you're listening to this while we're editing, if you cut that part out, I'll cut you out.
No, you
like
won't.
a picture, and then I'll put you in a collage, and then I'll like put it on the wall and show all the different fun times we've had together.
That was
Nice,
beautiful.
Thank you. So, Michael Bay, who has directed every Transformers movie so far, and is he's planning on departing the franchise as a director after Transformers:
Maybe it
The
will
Last
actually be
Night.
good.
After he's gone?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe. Can I finish my sentence?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's 30 years for manslaughter. No, I'm just kidding. That's not my sentence. My sentence is recently confirmed that the studio, Bay that is, recently confirmed that the studio has 14 different Transformers movies in some stage of development. Way to spoil it, Emmy.
I didn't even see that coming.
Well,
That's news to me.
stop reading the wrong parts of the script. This is entirely scripted, even all my ums and uhs, which Katie mostly cuts out for me. This is
Don't
not to
say
say...
You just
Look, here's a peek behind the curtain. I'm not a perfect man. Go figure. And by a peek behind the curtain, I mean, like, you can't even see curtains. We're really far in front of it. I'm an idiot and everyone knows it. We're not even inside. So this is not to say that all these movies are definitely going to get made. It's just that they're waiting to be made. Like, they've got, all these different ideas and plans. Next year, we're going to be getting the Bumblebee solo movie, and that's going to be directed by Travis Knight, who directed Kubo and the Two Strings, which did get really, really good critical acclaim.
I haven't watched it.
Most people haven't. It
Okay.
hasn't been...
I've seen it
Yeah? What'd you think?
3 times.
So
It was really good.
I thought maybe you were just a glutton for punishment.
Maybe
You're like, no,
there
it's the
is
worst
hope.
thing I've ever seen.
No, it was actually surprisingly good. It's made by Lakey. I can't even say
They're
it.
the people who do, like, Coraline and...
Yeah, they
and
made
those other-
Coraline, Box Trolls, Paranorman,
Mhm.
which are all good. I don't know, I was surprised, but to this day, it was not 2 strings. It was not. Just, you guys have to watch it and then think about it.
Maybe it was the good and the bad, and those are the 2 strings.
No,
Or maybe...
not even.
Maybe you can't count.
That is possible.
But
That
this-
is definitely possible.
I've just brought a guest on and then insulted them. I've insulted both our listeners and our guest math skills in like 10 minutes. I'm just going to go. I'm sorry.
Bye, Garrett.
You guys had the script. Have fun. This is in the script too. I didn't come up with this on the spot at all. So next year, we're getting the Bumblebee movie. Here's my question. So Travis Knight obviously knows what he's doing. He knows how to make a film and tell a story. But do you think, especially considering that Michael Bay is staying on as producer of all the movies moving forward, do
Never
you
mind.
think that he's going to be stifled by that visual style that Bay has created in
Yes.
the Transformers movies and not be able to do anything?
Because when you just said that, I was like, never mind, there's no hope.
Because, I mean, if you look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, they're produced by Michael Bay, but they look like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
Even though he's
I
not
feel
directing.
like it's all going to look the same.
I feel like he's that guy in the background that just keeps shouting his opinions at you and then just drills in your head like, oh, great idea.
This. I do it my way or the highway.
And then he, like, throws something expensive that you could never afford at your head. Yeah, I don't... Michael Bay has done some cool stuff, and he has pushed the industry forward in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they are, but I know he has. And but I do think that we need someone who has more heart behind a Transformers movie. And you know what? If they're going to start doing that, Bumblebee is the one to do it with. I think he's probably the most loved character. But I definitely want it... Well, you know what? I don't want to see an Optimus Prime solo movie, because they're all Optimus Prime solo movies.
Pretty much.
That's true.
One will stand, one will fall, or we'll all fall. Well, like dominoes, because Michael Bay thinks it's funny. I'm Optimus Prime. If I say it, that makes it good, right? If I say the name of the character. I ran into one of our faithful listeners this week, and he told me that I make too many jokes on the podcast and that I should just get to the point. And I had to tell him that if I stopped making as many jokes, I would explode. So, I'm sorry, Phoenix. He was also one of the guests on our Wild Lines
He's exploding
episodes.
with jokes.
Right now. They're coming out my ears. Boom, boom, little explosions. So Transformers 5 is the only summer movie that was shot in native 3D. So, a lot of movies, it's like, it's coming out, and it's also in 3D, and you can pay an extra $3 for the glasses. This is the only movie that was shot and meant to be in 3D, and they shot it with dual IMAX cameras, which is crazy. Those things are heavy, hard to move around. They're not easy to use, but they did it. What Michael Bay said, he's here to keep 3D alive. Don't know what that means. Is it dying?
I didn't think so.
Does it have like some type of pulmonary heart disease?
Maybe it is dying because 3D movies suck most of the time.
That's true.
Well, just let it die. Like, you don't walk out into the...
Maybe he has an attachment to 3D, like, that we don't understand.
Some type of Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah.
In 3D! I just, you don't walk out into the middle of the woods, find a deer that's been ripped apart by some type of wild boar and go, I'll stitch that up. No, you shoot the deer and move on. Or you eat it.
I prefer eating it.
What if it's got, like, boar saliva in it then, though? That sentence, let me try that again. What if it's got boar saliva in it? Would you still want to eat it? Or does that just cook right out?
I don't know. I don't really cook deer.
Right,
if anything, extra flavor.
Yeah, I guess.
You think of it that way.
I love saliva flavor. It's my favorite.
Deer chili.
So,
that sounds good.
But yeah, he's going to be directing all the ones moving
3
forward. So, not directing, but producing. And if you really want to try that deer thing, we can set a deer and a boar loose in the studio, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
We'll just put all the good stuff up high. So, who is the chosen one in Star Wars?
Me!
Wow, that was really quick. Are we wrong to assume that it was Anakin?
Are we wrong to assume that it was Katie?
Yeah, probably.
Dang it.
You're mostly dark side unless you've had food in the last 5 minutes. That's not balanced.
I did have the red lightsaber at our wedding.
Yes. When we got married, before we did a first dance, we did a first fight, and we pulled out some lightsabers and fought.
It wasn't before the first dance. We did the dance first, then went.
I choose to believe what I believe. But we did a first fight, and she whacked me in the face.
That was funny.
That's how we started our marriage. So when you hear us fighting on the podcast, that's what it all leads back to. Oh, also, I was told that I should get sick before every podcast because my voice sounds better when I'm sick. So I want all of you listeners out there.
I did not tell you that.
No, Phoenix did. So I want Phoenix and everyone else who agrees with him to know that I'm licking toilet seats before every show just to try and regain that magic. So far, I've lost a leg, but no voice change.
I will not be kissing him because he's licking toilet seats.
But you didn't know before and you didn't notice.
Well, from now on, I will not kiss you.
All right, that's fair. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's the Star Wars Rebels TV show.
Oni-Wan Kenobi?
Oni-Wan Kenobi, boo. Words are really hard for me today, like every week. But there's the Star Wars Rebels show on Disney XD. They brought Darth Maul back. He's not dead after he got chopped in half on Naboo. And I was really struggling to remember the name of that planet. Anyway, so he didn't die, and this is something that actually is throughout Star Wars lore. Like Darth Maul's just kind of been lurking in the shadows. He went mad from losing, the bottom half of his body. I assume that he lost he was cut off at the waist, right? So he's a buttless man.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I'd lose my mind. You can't sit down anywhere. What do? You just kind of you just have to
fall. You're just half of a body laying on your back flopping around.
You just have to go to an armchair and hold yourself right above it.
It's flopping like a fish.
Oh no. Anyway, so he's not dead, and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul meet up again in the Star Wars Rebel TV show, and Obi-Wan tells Maul that the person he was guarding on Tatooine, Luke, because this is set between episodes 3 and 4, he says that the person he was guarding on Tatooine was indeed the chosen one, revealing that the Jedi Master thinks that the son of Skywalker is the person the prophecy was referring to when they talk about the prophecy that will bring balance to the Force.
I thought I was the one to bring balance to the Force.
No, you're the one to bring balance to our meals because you keep making me eat vegetables. Ugh.
I gotta keep you regular.
Look, I'm not a buttless man, so this is true. There's too many poop jokes this week. Wow, all right, that happened. I married the boar. I'm going to pay for that one later. There's also a lot of people, I'm just going to go right on the news anyway. There's a lot of people saying maybe that Rey is the chosen one. Some people were saying that maybe she's the reincarnation of the first Jedi ever. And
then other people were saying that Katie is the chosen one.
Would you get off that scooter?
Yeah,
How long are you going to ride that one?
The rest of the show.
Oh, gosh. So, I don't know too much about the whole reincarnation of the first Jedi theory because I don't care that much about it.
I've never heard anything about that.
Yeah, I've heard better theories. So, shut up, you person who came up with that, whoever you may be. Episode 8 is most likely going to delve into the Force a lot more and explain kind of what it is, who controls it, all that stuff. So, we're going to learn a little bit more about what is the Force, why does it need to be balanced? I've got a secret. What is it?
I control the Force.
Oh my gosh. That's it. You're going out the window. I'll throw you right out.
Episode 9. Katie did it all.
Revenge of the Katie.
Episode 10. Who's Katie?
We didn't mention her in the last movie at all. Our bad.
The origins of Katie off to the side after Han Solo's movie.
Katie, a Star Wars story. So, do you guys know much? And by guys, I mean ladies, because I'm standing.
Do I look like a guy to you?
No.
Good.
Now we've got that off the table.
That was a pointless conflict right there. Like most of the conflict in the Great Wall. Am I right? I don't know. So, the Call of Duty franchise, one of the biggest video game franchises in the world. Sales have been dropping pretty steadily over the last couple of years with their last couple of releases not being very well received. One thing that no one was really asking for that we are getting is a Marvel-esque movie universe from the Call of Duty franchise. This is planned and in the works.
What?
Yeah. So the Guardian spoke to co-presidents of the studio, which was Activision Blizzard Studios, so adapting all of their properties into films. And the Guardian spoke to co-presidents of the studio, Stacey Sher and Nick Van Dyke, about future films being planned. They are currently working on not only one film, but also finding enough ideas to fill a cinematic universe, and they're using Marvel and Star Wars as examples.
Stop right now.
Right?
Do not pass go.
Do not collect $200.
Please don't.
Or $200.
Go to jail.
You did not win the beauty contest.
No.
Give up your apartment on Park Place. So Stacey Sher said, "We have plotted out many years. We put together this group of writers to talk about where we were going. There will be a film that feels more like Black Ops, the story behind the story. The Modern Warfare series looks at what it's like to fight a war and with the eyes of the world on you. And then maybe something that is more of a hybrid where you are looking at private covert operations while public operation is going on." And then Nick Van Dyke said, "It's going to have the same sort of high adrenaline, high energy aesthetic as the game, but it's not a literal adaptation. It's a much more broad and inclusive, global in scope, a big tentpole Marvel-esque movie."
Go for it.
So what I'm imagining is some random people shooting for no reason.
No story.
And calling it Call of Duty.
We should audition.
You know what?
I'm in.
I just want to shoot big guns and not have to worry about acting.
Woo!
I'm in. I'm doing finger guns.
No, I actually want to improve my craft. So, how about no?
How about we craft weapons and then go just force our way onto the set?
Okay.
I can make a spear.
And they kicked off set.
I can make a spear out of like a long wooden spoon and a very dirty sock. One of those ones that's like, this doesn't move anymore, I'm going to throw it away. Just shave that down, tie it on the end of the spoon, got yourself a weapon.
Good to go. Come with my own props.
I should wash my socks more. So I don't know, I feel like this could actually be kind of fun if they just embrace the fact that it's just supposed to be big guns and stuff, and that's kind of the whole point. They could actually tell some really good stories, though. Mm-hmm. Call of Duty Black Ops, the first one, I played that game through like 8 times because I love the story. It was really good. So if they do something like that, then because there's a whole bunch of stuff like this guy, the main character who you're playing as, he was captured and kind of reprogrammed to be a sleeper agent, and he's imagining this friend that he used to know when he was being made to work in the mines, but he's not real, but he kind of like helps him escape from the mine even though he dies. And so it's a really interesting, like, trippy thing, and I feel like they could do something like that, and they could do it well if they don't fart this up.
No one wants something farted up.
No. Good point. So
I know.
So please, people, whatever the group of writers they're talking about, please actually care about this and don't just take a payday.
And cast me.
Like on a fishing pole?
Yeah.
Offset.
They would cast me offset because I'd be screaming, "No, you can't do it like that." Anyway.
So you'd be Michael Bay in the back.
Oh no, I've gone full Bay! So director Patty Jenkins wanted to make a funny Wonder Woman movie. So while she was recently speaking with comicbook.com, Jenkins revealed that the film's lighter, more comedic tone was intentional. She said, "We definitely went for making a funny film. I was always basing it on Superman 1 and Indiana Jones. I wanted to make a classic film where you're laughing and you're in love with them, and then they're off on a fun, great adventure."
This was supposed to be a funny film.
No, she's saying it's got a lighter tone, and she's trying to reflect like the kind of action we got in Indiana Jones, where it's, you know, there's high stakes and all that stuff, but you get to have some fun. Well, trailers lie.
The trailer just showed the awkwardest part. There's like, "Oh, that sword doesn't match your dress," and I was just like, "This is awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing yet."
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't care to see it.
Really, you're not even the littlest bit excited about this?
No.
All right, I love Wonder Woman. I love the idea of her, but I mean, I really don't.
I like the idea of her. It's just from what I've seen, I'm not excited about it.
I just want to see the invisible plane.
Right?
Get it? Because it's invisible.
You're good.
I'm slapping my knee.
No one else is.
Slap my knee. So, I don't know. I'm, again, skeptically optimistic. Anonymity.
I mean, I'll go in with an open mind.
Okay. But you will go in because
fair.
it's for the podcast. So whether you want to see it or not, you're trapped.
Dang it.
Yep. Shrek 5 has a script.
Oh, boy.
What?
Yeah, so...
Oh,
Here
boy.
come the Shrek memes.
Yeah, we don't know a whole bunch about it yet, but we do know that former SNL writer Michael McCullers was hired to work on the script, and he's provided the first clues as to what the film will be like. He was talking to Cinema Blend, and he said, "I finished the script, which I really, really, really love." I'm just doing random voices now. "It's really personal to me. I've got a big reinvention behind it that I guess I can't really reveal, but since DreamWorks was sold to Universal in that time for over $3 billion, I imagine that they're particularly interested in stepping up and actually figuring out the future of the franchise in a way on the corporate level. Reinvention was sort of called for. There have been 4 movies and a lot of material, so the characters are pretty beloved and they're great characters, but you also have to think of a pretty new take on that point."
Okay, so I'm not going to lie. I've only seen the first 2.
Same here. No, that's not true. When my little brother was born, I saw Shrek the Third, and I it was awful.
Is it when they have babies or something?
I think
Yes.
I only remember the first 2. After that, it was just like, what?
After that, I didn't know they even had a 4th one.
I watched Puss in Boots and kind of enjoyed that.
I mean, Puss in Boots, that's a fun character, though.
Yeah. It wasn't a great movie, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah, that character's fun out of all of them.
Also, can we talk about how I went George Bush halfway into that?
Yeah.
What was going on there? Sorry, I didn't mean to make a joke. My bad.
You're from Texas, so he's from Texas.
I am the president, and I do not approve of this Shrek. So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the first one was fun because it was just like, all the fairy tales are dumb and here's why, and then they just kind of they kept going with it. I was like, no, the joke's old. We're over this. So, but this is a completely new direction they're taking apparently. So I don't know how many different directions you can go with the giant green booger that farts a lot. But
you know what I'm surprised we haven't gotten yet? A donkey story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun character too.
Donkey, a Star Wars story. It's the movie I want.
Beautiful.
I like that starship. That is a
And in
nice
the morning,
starship.
I'm making waffles.
On the desktop. Anyway, Emily Blunt is the new Mary Poppins.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so excited because I grew up watching Mary Poppins and I love Julie Andrews. But so I'm curious to see how Emily does, and I love Emily Blunt, and I think she would be the perfect reboot.
See, I know pretty much nothing about Mary Poppins. It's like one of the only Disney movies I did not
You're
get
so
into.
young.
I'm
sorry.
love
You're just
that
you're like a
movie.
little
I'm
baby
sorry.
child.
Okay, but I love Emily Blunt. But like when I think of her from Edge of Tomorrow,
Me too.
where she's just kicking butt with Tom Cruise.
Have you seen The Adjustment Bureau?
No.
Actually, not bad.
Yeah, not very. Didn't get a lot of attention. But pretty good.
It's not bad. Matt Damon was
Yeah.
actually good in that.
Okay, I know what you're
Way
talking
better
about.
than in the Great Wall. Am I right?
You're right.
This is terrible.
I know.
But I grew up singing like all the Mary Poppins songs. I love Julie Andrews. She's like one of those people that I look up to. And if I met her, I would be like, I love you.
Why did you just bow like you were bowing to an Egyptian sun god? What was that?
Got the Egypt dance going on.
Walk like an
Like,
Egyptian.
if I'm
I don't know how
half
that
as
song
great
goes.
as she is, I'm lucky.
You see, mine was Beauty and the Beast, and we already know how that went. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
moving on.
It made me sick. It was so bad. Well, I've sent you both a picture of Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins. She looks properly British, and she definitely doesn't look like
She looks beautiful.
she doesn't look like a man.
I'm happy with how she looks.
She doesn't have a gun, so I'm less excited now. But I was really hoping to see Mary Poppins just
When
mowing
is
some
this
fools
supposed
down.
to come out?
Next year, I think.
Ooh.
You guys, I'm just concerned with who the heck is on the bike and how do they all fit on there?
Oh, what's that, guys? What's that? The chimney?
Actually, if you look at the bottom of the picture, that's a green screen pole. That's a green pole. I think he's
You're right.
riding on something, like a broom, like
Even
a witch.
the bicycle's a tease.
Yep.
I just hope, my hope is I hope they bring the original music back.
I think they will. This was
that
like the
is
first.
such a classic.
Yeah, Mary Poppins was the first movie that really got live action Oscars for Disney. So they're not going to mess with that, especially after all the. If you watch Saving Mr. Banks, which was I love that movie. Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney. They kind of give you some insight into all that had to happen to make that movie actually happen, and so they won't mess with it. They can't. If they do. I imagine someone's going to drive through the headquarters of Disney, like on a Segway with swords and just slicing people apart.
Honestly, I feel like Mr. Walt Disney is turning in his grave about
Oh, yeah.
the Disney movies that are happening now.
You mean like G-Force, where it was a bunch of special agent guinea pigs? I like to bring that up from time to time to remember, so that people remember that's a thing. That's a real thing that happened, and we didn't revolt.
No. We just all went with it.
This is worse than taxation without representation.
I think
Don't make guinea pigs talk to me.
I think half of us went out and bought a guinea pig and secretly hoped they were like that.
Oh, that would have been cool.
That'd
See,
be
I would have bought the mole, though.
It's
Because
true. He was awesome.
yeah, I want Nicolas Cage to go, "Hello, everybody. I have a nasal thing." That'll help me get to sleep every night. But I think, look, I love Emily Blunt. I don't know if she has that same like chipper Mary Poppins
Yeah,
feel, but she's
she-
really good. So
Yeah.
I feel like she could pull it off.
I think so. I definitely think so. As long as
Yeah.
they don't add new songs, just like Beauty and the Beast.
So you know nothing about Mary Poppins.
I don't. I know
you need to watch it, but
Chimney.
here's all you need to know about Mary Poppins. She inspired me when I was 10 years old to jump off of my roof with an umbrella, thinking that it would
cool.
keep me from falling to the ground and breaking my leg.
Did
So-
you actually do this?
Yes.
That is that's great.
That's funny.
I didn't break my leg, but it definitely didn't like make me float down elegantly. It was not the kind of thing you would enter into a ballroom with.
There is one point
Enter into
this last year I did my hair as Mary Poppins and I walked around. I was like, "Look at me, world."
her chin was like up towards the sky. She was so proud. All right, so some controversy. I know we said we don't do controversy, but there's been some.
On what?
Paramount says that the Ghost in the Shell casting controversy affected the box office. And this is our last piece of news and also our segue with swords into our main topic, which is Ghost in the Shell. That's what we're talking about this week.
Yay.
And we all knew it, and everyone who read the title of this episode knows it. But we're going to pretend that no one did, just like always, because, it's in the contract. And the script. Brought it full circle. So the issue is not the actress herself, not that people don't like Scarlett Johansson.
Is it the outfit?
No, it's rather the fact that she plays the role of Major Motoko Kusanagi, a cyborg that most people felt should be played by an Asian actor, since the anime series the movie is based upon originated in Japan. While the original anime director Mamoru Oshii didn't have a problem with the casting, Paramount has now recognized that the controversy has hurt the movie's audience figures. In an interview with CBC, Kyle Davies, domestic distribution chief for Paramount, didn't apologize for the casting choice, but he did say that he felt that the discussion surrounding the movie negatively impacted its reviews. He said, "We had hopes for better results domestically. I think that the conversation regarding casting impacted the reviews. You've got a movie that is very important to the fanboys since it's based on a Japanese anime movie, so you're always trying to thread that needle between honoring the source material and making a movie for a mass audience. That's challenging, but clearly the reviews didn't help." So that's what he says. He says that that because people didn't like the casting choice and didn't really have a reason, because they're just fanboys. I'm making this more aggressive than he meant it. But he said because people didn't like that, it's hurt us because as of April 6th, Ghost in the Shell grossed $23 million in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
And that's after being out for almost a week. Actually, exactly a week. And Canada, so that's $23 million in the United States and Canada, and then $50.6 million in other territories for a worldwide growth of $73.7 million against a production budget of $110 million. So in North America, Ghost in the Shell opened alongside The Boss Baby and The Zookeeper's Wife and was projected to gross $25 million from the 3,440 theaters in its opening weekend.
We should have watched Boss Baby.
Yeah, we probably should have.
I thought the same thing.
We're so excited for Boss Baby. Like, I've been ranting and raving since the first trailer.
The Zookeeper's Wife, is that what?
Okay, I made a bad choice. Sue me. Don't sue me. I can't afford it. So, the thing about this, though, is that Paramount actually released a featurette of Mamoru Oshii, who directed the original films, visiting the studio, in which he said that Johansson exceeded his expectations for the role. So this is the guy who made this and was like, no, she's great. Oshii told IGN that the Major is a cyborg and her physical form is an entirely assumed one. The name Motoko Kusanagi and her current body are not her original name and body. So there's no basis for saying that an Asian actress must portray her. Even if her original body, presuming such a thing existed, were a Japanese one, that would still apply. I can only sense a political motive from the people opposing it, and I believe artistic expression must be free from politics. This is...
I get it.
Yeah.
So can we just put this to rest then?
Yeah.
Because we have the Japanese director's approval, and he went, this is stupid.
Yeah, and it makes sense in the movie because that's not her body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I did watch, Katie did stretches while I watched.
I watched a little.
Most of the original Ghost in the Shell after we watched this movie. And they do look a lot alike. The Major and the animated one and Scarlett Johansson, they're pretty similar. Mm-hmm. So that's that. It's put to rest. The director of the original said, good job, so good job. Everyone cool with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. So now we're going to do our spoiler-free review. Katie, stop rolling your eyes when we do this. We're going to do a spoiler-free review and just kind of give general impressions of the film, and then we'll go in and we'll talk in depth about different things that we liked, didn't like, so on and so forth. Emmy, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
With this evil glare as I go, ha ha ha, I've thrown you in the spotlight.
I'm feeling Katie right now, spoiler free.
I mean, people that have watched this movie are going to be listening to this because
some people are going to want a spoiler-free review, and then they'll go watch the movie, and then they'll come back and listen to the rest of the episode.
No, I don't think people listen to podcasts that way, but okay.
You're wrong. I did.
Okay, well, not everybody is you.
Yes, but there's a reason that most podcasts... We're doing it this way.
Okay.
I gave you pizza. Be happy and just let this happen. So, I think overall... it didn't make an impact on me. I think that's the best way to kind of sum this up. I think it was beautifully shot. I think they did a lot of recreating shots from the anime, and so there was some really cool, from a technical standpoint, stuff that they did. But I remember at one point I leaned over to Katie, like right after the movie was over, the credits start rolling. I leaned over and went, "Don't you feel like that should have been more exciting?" Like that's how I felt the whole way through. I was just like, imagine being on a boat, right? There are whales jumping around everywhere. There is excitement. There are fishermen running around. There's a slip and slide. It's a cruise now instead of just a small fishing boat because my metaphor has gone really big. And all of this is going on. There's dolphin shows on the tiny pool on the front of the boat in front of you. And you're just kind of staring there like zoned out. That's what this felt like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's supposed to be all this stuff going on and excitement and whoa, but instead it's just you drool in your lap because you've zoned out and you've forgotten what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like I was just waiting for that moment for me to somewhat get connected to the character.
Yeah.
But there was no point where I felt like I cared about what happened to her.
That's, yeah.
Pretty much. It had moments.
Well said.
It had moments to where I wanted to like it. It kind of like with Power Rangers, it climbed and then it just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
Overall, I've forgotten a lot of it, and so most of it's forgettable for me.
Yeah. I was writing
But then
the notes
again,
for this.
I forget Marvel movies, so.
I was writing the notes for this episode, and I just sat there and stared at a blank page for 15 minutes going, wait, what happened? I couldn't remember. Like, it was forgettable. So, look, I'm going to be honest. Regardless of whatever controversies people want to throw out in front of this movie for whatever reason, whether they're political or just some guy's bored and wants to type something into his extreme gaming computer. It's not that the movie is getting blasted for casting a white actress in a movie that originated in Japan. I think it's just that it was not great, you know?
And I don't have a problem with Scarlett Johansson's performance.
No.
She did fine.
Yeah.
It's just what they gave her.
Yeah.
It's the script and
As I say
the
every
colors,
week, I think the script failed.
The colors were
filmmakers.
fine. The editing, I felt I was very impressed with the effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's just the script.
Yeah. That's our spoiler-free part. Now we can get into spoilers so that you guys can stop stabbing me under the table with whatever that was. Ow. It was a knife. It was one of those swords off the Segway. Stop stealing those. They're supposed to be attached. So the opening scene, all the imagery of her robot body being created, that's pulled directly from the opening of the anime. It's mesmerizing. I loved watching that.
Yeah.
When she comes out of that, like milk bath or whatever, like, oh my goodness, it looks so. It was. It moisturizes my skin, makes me soft.
My robot skin.
What?
She had robot skin.
Okay. Why'd you say it so quietly with that creepy expression, though?
I don't know.
Anyway, so once she comes out of the milk bath, like, I felt like a lot of that was really cool to watch. It was satisfying. I was like, this is interesting. But that's really, I feel like that's the only thing this movie had going for it, was that the effects
The
held
look,
up a lot of the
yeah.
time. There were a couple of moments where Major was doing some moves that looked really rubbery, but at the same time, she's an artificial person, so it's almost like maybe that was... Maybe that's either forgivable or forgiver. It's forgivable. It's either something we can forgive or it's something that was intentional and added to that. Like, she's not really a human aspect of it. So
the only issue I had with her look was, the bodysuit that they made her wear. At the neckline, there was a few shots that, for the most part, I was okay with it. But there was a few shots of the neckline, you could see the cloth. I'm like...
Yeah. There were some ones where it looked like it blended in with her skin perfectly.
Yeah, but then there's
other times
some... Then there was some that you saw the line of the cloth, and I'm like, it looks cheap.
There's a couple times.
It looks like an outfit.
Yeah. And there's like a couple times, especially in the beginning when she's in that first like meeting and she's beating those weird things up. Her body is moving like 5 times faster than her head. And it was kind of like exactly what you said. It's either forgivable or it's like...
No, I said forgivable.
Yeah.
Yes.
My bad.
Coming to pain.
When Katie laughs, she gets a pain in her chest sometimes.
She's like, ah.
I'm good.
I just completely forgot half of my point now.
Sorry.
Her body would move 5 times faster than her head.
Yeah. And I was just like, is this like intentional? Or like, what is this?
Yeah.
But it distracted me from the point where I was like, wait, why is she killing them?
Yeah.
The thing that distracted me was her walk.
Yes.
Because it was like, her shoulders are out like this.
Her head would just like jut out like a
it's
like a freakish chicken.
I know no one's
down.
going to see this, but I'm going to just for funsies.
Katie's now doing visual comedy on an audio podcast. Oh, today we learned that Katie doesn't know what she's doing or where she is. So, yeah, her walk was weird, but again, I watched some of the anime, and it actually mirrored how the anime looked a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a certain point where you got to go, okay, you can either match that perfectly, or you cannot pull me out of the movie every time you go to get a cup of coffee. Maybe pick the one that doesn't pull me out of the movie. I paid for this. I did think that where she breaks into that meeting between the Zimbabwean ambassador or whatever and one of the guys from Hanka Robotics, and there's these geishas. And when the geishas attack, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you know they actually built those geishas?
Really?
So, I mean, a lot of that's animated, but they did build those robots. So there are some practical stuff in there. And they're really, really neat looking. Like, when I watched the trailer for this movie, that was one of the things that made me go, I really want to see this. Especially when its face popped open, I was like...
That made me jump
right?
like 6 feet out of my chair when I watched this. But that...
You may want to look into the Olympics if you're capable of that.
But it was really cool to see. It was. I saw it in the trailer and I'm like, that is awesome. But whenever the scene in there where it's going up the wall carrying this dude, like that's going to be in my nightmares. That was creepy.
Yeah. And it looked real.
Yeah.
Like
that's what made it super creepy.
Right? Yeah, that was really, really, really cool to watch.
There was one part that made me jump, and I don't remember what part.
I don't remember where it is. I just remember laughing at you when it happened.
I almost said a bad word.
There was just a noise, and she goes, and her arms flipped up in the air. It's pretty great. Suitcase guns. Those were cool.
That was awesome.
I want one.
Yeah, that was taken directly from the anime as well.
I want one.
Just for the look of it. Like,
yeah. I just want to be like, guys, check this out. Half the people run out the building.
No, I just wanted to show it off.
It's just pretty cool.
I'm not a murderer. Guys.
Give me your money.
But just because you like me, not because I have a gun.
I'm not going to hurt you with this.
Oh, sorry, I shot Mrs. Wilkerson. My bad. Why is my go-to name Wilkerson for something like that? Anyway, Scarlett Johansson jumping through the window into that meeting. I think that's one of my favorite shots I've ever seen on a big screen. It was so. I mean, they ruined it by putting it in every trailer, so it wasn't as surprising as I feel it could have been. But I loved watching that. I felt like that was just. It was beautiful. It was. I think the reason that I love that shot so much is it kind of communicates that. Even though she's designed to kill, she has this beauty to her in her movement and how she approaches situations. And I thought that was kind of a really cool way to showcase that when she does these things, she's doing them with an efficiency and a other word that other people don't have. I can't fill that in with actual words, so I'm just someone fill that in with whatever you think I'm trying to say, listeners at home or in your car or wherever you may be. So I love that shot. What do you guys think of that one?
I feel like it would have been one of those shots that would have been like, that's the one thing I remember about this movie if it wasn't in every trailer.
Yeah.
But still, for what it is, it was awesome.
Yeah. We talked last week about trailers kind of ruining movies, especially the new Spider-Man Homecoming trailer just revealing everything. Yeah. Sony has a history of doing that, though, because if you look, when The Amazing Spider-Man was coming out, the first one, if you put all the trailers together and all the clips that they released, before the movie ever came out, there were 40 minutes of footage from that movie available to watch.
Wow.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that the marketing team had put out there. Not stuff that had leaked. Just, here's this, check this out. 40 minutes of an hour and a half movie.
Come in and check out the last 40 minutes of it.
Right? Can I pay half price? I've already seen, like, most of it.
Not to backtrack real fast, but did you guys hear who got casted for the Venom rated R movie?
Someone got cast?
Yeah.
No.
Zac Efron.
No.
Yep.
Don't.
Are you kidding me?
Zac Efron is
this an
gonna
April
be
Fool's
Venom.
thing?
No, I
Oh,
promise.
no.
Zac Efron is gonna be Venom, a rated R version of Venom. And I'm just, for me, it's Gwen Stacy that was in the original one that was dating Eddie Brock, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm imagining Gabriella from High School Musical. They're just gonna sing their way out of this.
Oh,
Start
man.
something new.
Oh, no,
Boom,
that
turns into
that
an
was an
evil
April.
spider.
That was an April Fool's
It was
joke.
April Fool's.
Yeah. You got me again, you sly dog. You're all right.
You
That's
guys are
it.
easy.
I gotta. You know what I'm gonna do? You know, when I said earlier, don't take this too seriously, I lied. I take it all seriously.
I was like, I wonder how far along I can get with this before he Googles it.
Give me my ninja sword segue. I had to take care of this. So Scarlett Johansson jumps through the window and she shoots people, and then Venom is Zac Efron, or I'm sorry, Zac Efron, as we've established previously.
Zac Efron.
So after she shoots the robot and all the other people in the room, she looks at it, and the cop that she works with, whose name I'm forgetting, Batu comes up and he says, "You're nothing like them," like out of nowhere, because she's just staring at the thing, and then she just kind of like pouts off and turns invisible as she pushes guys out of the way. It's like, what was that? It's like, if I was 16 and I turned invisible every time I got upset, no one would have ever seen me. Because I would have just been like, people would just be getting thrown into Walmart shelves as I pouted around. That was where I went when I was upset. After I got my driver's license, I would just drive to Walmart and then look at all the things I couldn't buy, and then I get more upset. Then I go home and just be invisible in my head.
I go to Hobby Lobby when I'm upset and I sniff candles.
Yeah, and it's dangerous because every time she wants to buy $40 worth of things. So anyway, so I don't know. That was weird, right? It's not just me. Yeah. Cool. She goes and gets her arm repaired. She talks to one of the scientists who created her, and we find out that they can look at all of her memories on a glowing data pad.
Not surprising.
What do you think of the like all the electronics in this? Did you like the designs of those?
I did.
It's a lot of holograms.
Yeah, a lot. I liked it. There's a scene where she's getting her arm fixed more towards the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're just having the casual conversation, but you're watching as it's like has a layer of red, has a layer of actual skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was really cool to see. Like, I wish the camera got closer, even though they would have to do more work for the detail, but...
I kind of like that they didn't get closer.
Really?
I hate to be the devil's advocate here, but I have horns. And your pitchfork, Katie, from when you watch The Space Between Us. But go back and listen to that episode if you haven't. It's there. You'll never hear her angrier when we watch that movie. But I liked the fact that it was just kind of like, it was there. It was just a part of the world. It was happening, and it wasn't the focus. And so I thought that was not a stroke of genius, but a stroke of like, oh, duh. That's just the world they live in. Why dwell on it? Just let it happen.
Yeah, I think I'm just being nosy. I just want to see it. I want to touch it.
You would be the doctor.
I want to touch it. Like the red layer goes down, you're
touch
like, I'm poking Jello.
What's that feel like?
Ooh.
Next layer, what's that feel like? That would be me.
There's just fingerprints on the inside of someone's arm.
And that's how I got kicked off of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, that's right. You were directing, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh. Emmy.
Michael Bay was screaming at me from the back, but it was fine.
Okay. That explains so much.
He said, poke it. You gotta listen when he talks. When Bay talks.
Yep, that's when Bay talks. That sounds like a Just Girly Things post. So, Major's having glitches, and these confuse the heck out of me. Like, I know they're supposed to an extent, but I think they confuse me in the wrong way. Because when she's in her apartment, she sees a glitch of a cat, and I didn't know that was like a glitch. I thought that was just like every home had a projector that projected fake pets.
Me too.
Yeah.
I thought that was like that too. I was like, okay then.
I was like, oh cool, oh it's gone.
I was
Okay.
like a kitty.
I just was like, is that supposed? I feel like if that cat. So let's say the scene where he's feeding all the dogs, and she looks back, cat glitch. I would have understood.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we see the cat one time, and then at her childhood home.
Pretty much.
So I thought that they kind of botched that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So get your cat straight, Hollywood. That's all I'm saying. So there's an attack on the boss lady later on. What's her name? Dr. Ule? That's her name, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, I wrote it down. So, gosh, you guys are not reading the script anymore. So Dr. Ule gets attacked later on, and she's attacked by trash men.
Yeah.
So I have things I like and things I don't like about this whole scene. So things I like. The guys are sitting there having a conversation. He's just eating his little noodles or tapeworms or whatever those were. And they just kind of like shut down. And then... And so that was cool.
Yeah.
On the actor's part, great. Fantastic. Good job for that. I understood they were getting hacked. Like, I didn't have to have a whole explanation. But why did they have automatic weapons?
Yeah, that was exactly like the briefcase, but the briefcase was cool, and I have no clue where those came from.
The briefcase had purpose.
Yeah, at least we know that
Yeah.
was like a special force sent to assassinate a bunch of people.
Yeah.
These are just two guys out there throwing apple cores into the back of a truck with automatic weapons.
Hey, trash, it's a dirty job.
That's true. So dirty sometimes you gotta deal with some people.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
There's nothing sexier than a trash bag.
And an automatic weapon.
That's what I went to prom with. Anyway, so I went alone.
I never went.
We'll go to prom, honey. We'll invade
No,
Emmy's prom.
Okay,
Are there
we'll
openings?
be your dates.
Yeah, definitely. There you go.
Cool. I was homeschooled, and so was she. So we never got the full high school experience. So
Mine's a nerd school, so you won't get it there either.
I'll fit in perfectly. So there is a little bit more of an explanation in this. It was kind of in the movie, but it's more in the anime. So without getting too technical about it, the guy who has a daughter, we see later on that they're like, you don't have a daughter. And he's like, yes, I do. But these are implanted memories. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently this had actually been done by the puppet master, or Kuze as he's called in this movie. They never call him the puppet master, even though that's who he is. And he kind of has been working on this for a long time, so that's why they would have the weapons. But I don't feel like they explained that at all in the movie. So I just felt like, I was just like, because I said something to you, I don't know if you heard me, because there was a lot of gunfire, but I was like, where did those come from?
I don't remember that.
Because when I take out the trash, I never have a fully automatic weapon on me. Semi-automatic, yes, but those are legal. So, do you guys have any comments about the trash men?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still confused as to, does he have a daughter or not?
He doesn't. Those are implanted, simulated memories.
You see, I thought that, and then like the thing that confused me was they were talking about it before they snapped, and they were like,
that's why I was confused.
Yeah, I was like, I can understand while hers are like just things she forgot, and they're kind of like leaking in,
Right.
But I did not understand how his worked.
And in this world, everyone has some type of enhancement. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the anime is the guy acts normal the whole time, and he's actually not the person who has the machine gun. There's a third person in the anime, which makes so much more sense, who actually attacks the people. And the puppet master is just using these implanted memories and these trash guys to hack into the system by constantly hacking different phone places around the city while they're on their route, so the cops never catch, because there's a new place every 7 minutes, they say. So it made a whole bunch of sense in that, because they spent a little bit more time on it.
Yeah.
In this one, it was just like, I have a daughter, I'm a robot, I have a daughter,
His
no
acting,
I don't.
though, was good.
Yeah.
When
It
he
was really
switched.
good.
I have that note. I have a whole...
And-
It's right there.
Stop
I
reading
got
my
it.
script!
But I enjoyed his acting where he was freaking out, crying, and then he was like blank. And in that moment, I was terrified. I was like, what's he going to do?
Yeah, I was like, don't step in there. Like, that was the one moment that got me drawn in where I was like, do not step in there.
Yeah, this actor's performance, I don't know who he is, but I want to see more of him because he did a fantastic job. And honestly, I think it's the best performance in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Because he did so well with that creepy and he mirrored the actor who played Kuze a lot really well too. But he had that kind of like devastated person who just found their whole life is a lie, and he did that really well, and I believed it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. We'll talk about that in a second though. After they attack Dr. Ule in the car, and there's all of the gunfire from the random machine guns that appear out of nowhere. You know, like the horse in Beauty and the Beast that just, there's a horse.
Whoop, there's Philip.
Stupid horse. We named him Philip. But after that, one of them runs away, the one who later is captured, and he runs through all these streets. I love that his kind of invisibility cloak that he had would kind of flicker on and off, because there's actually some college has created this invisibility cloak that it has a bunch of tiny cameras on it and will put whatever's behind you in front of you, and it looks a lot like that because you can still see kind of the way the cloth is moving, and it's not perfect and it glitches, and so I really really liked that effect. Again, going back to the effects being fantastic in this movie. Also, those giant fish that just swim through the air in the streets looked great.
Yeah.
Loved the fish. So, but I love that the camouflage suit came in and out. Major beats up the guy in the water. It was, again, very reminiscent of the scene that was in the anime with the slow motion happening at certain points, and I loved that. But again, that's something, they released that entire thing. Like, not just in a trailer, they released that as a clip.
Yeah, like I already knew that was going to happen, so at that point I was like, all right, let's get through this like 3 minutes so I can see what I haven't seen.
Right, yeah. Stop showing us 40 minutes of a movie. Movie makers?
Movie maker.
I have a stutter. So, yeah, okay. I did enjoy watching that the first time I watched it on my tiny phone. But there's a scene where they're being debriefed at Section 9, and there's a character there who just got an enhanced liver. So he talks about the guy who doesn't get enhancements is like, what'd you get enhanced? Because he can just tell when someone's had something done for some reason. And the guy's like, he pulls up his shirt and he's got this big scar and he goes, I didn't have to pull up my shirt. I'm sorry. He pulls up his shirt.
I was wondering.
I don't know. I'm a visual person. I'm going to go do the Ghost in the Shell walk now so that I can visual comedy. So he pulls up his shirt, and there's a scar there, and he's like, yeah, I got an enhanced liver so I can have more fun on Friday nights. And the other guy's like, you got an enhancement so that you can drink more? And he's like, yeah, man. And that's like all he does in this entire movie. He's also the only black person in this entire movie. So you want to get controversial, have fun with that, internet.
I didn't even think of that until just now.
Yep.
Yeah, but he has no purpose other than that.
Why is he there?
He got his 5 seconds of Hollywood fame.
I mean, if it's to show that people are... The whole point of this is that the line between humanity and machine is blurred. That we're losing ourselves to technology. That's the point that this movie is supposed to be making. And I guess he was supposed to kind of drive that home, but he didn't... It wasn't... It was like a ham-fisted way. You know, that way where you have a ham in your fist. I don't know what that saying means. But... It was just kind of like, blurp, there's a guy who likes to drink a lot and electronics makes it easier for you. And it didn't add anything to it, I think, like they were hoping it would. And that's the whole thing, is that if this movie is intended to bring up and talk about what makes us human and the impact that technology has on that, I don't think they accomplished that at all. If you want to talk about humanity and what makes us human and all of that, you have to actually have some humanity in your film. And there wasn't any. There's one scene where she goes and talks to someone, and we'll get to that, but like that was the one scene that actually felt like it had some humanity in it. And the rest of it was just like, they're just people doing things. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't really connect with anyone. Except maybe that cat.
The cat was pretty cool.
There was one person I thought was... I forgot his name, though.
Was it Billy Bob Thornton?
No, that
Good, because he wasn't in this.
The one that... Test robot or whatever before her.
Kuze?
Kuze, is that his name?
Yeah, the main villain?
Yeah. I liked him.
Well, not the main villain, actually.
He's not really a villain.
Yeah.
But I liked him. I thought he was cool.
Yeah. I have...
I was intrigued by him, and I wanted to know more about him.
Yeah.
But that was really the only character I felt connected with.
He was the only person that I was interested in. Like, that first hour was like, hey, let's focus on this guy who's killing innocent people to kind of get his point out there.
Oh, it was when he looked up when I jumped. Because it was like, she was walking.
There was a noise that made us jump. That's what it was.
And it was like, I was like...
Because I had gone to look at my phone at that point in the movie because I was bored, and it went... and then your arms flew up a lot higher. I was like, I can hide that I jumped if I laugh at her. So...
But I enjoyed his character.
Yeah. So... I have mixed feelings about him, but I don't want to talk about it just yet.
Okay.
So the trash man has been given false memories. We get him in this cube for interrogation. Major was in the cube, but not in the cube for some reason.
I think that was part of her abilities. So.
Well, they can all do that because
Okay.
that's just like using the telephone in this world.
Hmm.
I just feel like it was overindulgent and pointless. But I guess it was because that was shielded so that Major couldn't get hacked. But obviously, this guy can do whatever he wants. So, but the actor who was in there, dude, totally just killed himself.
I was not expecting that.
Me either.
He snapped back. He's freaking out, and then you just hear, and then it was like, oh.
Because you can see in the reflection, he jumps up and slams his neck down, and it.
Yeah.
That's the sound of neck breaking. Or like a cricket who messes up when he's playing his legs. Oh, shoot. I should have taken more lessons. Phoenix is going to kill me for all these jokes. I'm sorry, Phoenix. So, yeah, dude totally killed himself. So the Yakuza bar, we get there, and Major and Batarang. Major and Batarang go to the Yakuza bar, and they want to find out more information about where the puppet master, or I'll refer to him as Kuze because that's what they call him here, find out more about where Kuze is operating from, but they can't actually get to him because he's not there. The club bar owner, whatever it is, pulls the Major into his private room, and he's like touching her face. He's like, they have done exquisite work on you. This is fantastic. And then instead of, having him go like, who does your work, and tell me where you come from, and like trying to find out more, like make this a business proposition, like I can sell whatever this is. He's just like, you look like you had good work done. That's and then starts shocking her.
I felt gross.
Yeah,
I felt like I needed a shower after that.
Because there are movies that deal with topics like that, and it needs to be talked about. I don't think there's...
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of shying away from things like human trafficking and and things like that. We were both in a movie about human trafficking. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, there was a point to that. It was to say, this is happening, it's wrong, we need to deal with it. This one was just like, it's an excuse to get Scarlett Johansson to fight people on a pole.
That's true. Yeah. It was just... I'm just going to put that out. They need to put a seizure warning in front of this movie because they got to that scene and they're just like, zzz, zzz, zzz. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And that's how Emmy died.
And that's pretty, this is my ghost in a shell.
Yep, the shell is my studio, and the ghost is Emmy.
By the way, we weren't both in a movie about human trafficking. You were.
Oh, that's right. You wanted to be in it, though. Right?
I didn't audition for it.
Oh, you turkey. We both went to the premiere, though, and that was the first time we met, and you slapped me in a Waffle House.
That was funny.
Yep. So that's a story for another day, though. So, what did you think about the fight scene when she was handcuffed to that pole? Did you think it was cool, or were you underwhelmed?
I was having a seizure.
Oh, that's right. You were busy foaming at the mouth.
And I was just over here
seeing
dying.
the light. Katie, what did you think? I felt like the way it was shot, it just wasn't as fun as it could have been.
Mm-mm.
I felt it was, for what I saw, it was really pointless in my opinion.
Through all the foam that was covering my face while I was laying back on the floor.
Yeah.
So.
But, yeah, very pointless. I just wanted to get past that part.
Yeah. Yeah, Like, if she ducked in there to try and get away from someone who had spotted her and recognized her, and then they came in, and then she used the pole to swing around and stuff, why not do it that way? I feel like that would have been a much more tasteful way to handle that and still get the fight scene you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
Would you guys feel more comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Because if she ran in there and was, like, grabbing the pole to, like, sling off it and kick all them in the face, I would have thought that was a lot cooler.
And she did that, but I could have gone without the proverbial licking her face in front of it. That's how I feel. Like, we don't need the creepers all the time. Sometimes we just need the jeepers. I'm sorry, Phoenix. So, at the bottom, under the stairs... No, that doesn't make sense. Downstairs in the basement.
Under the stairs?
Under the stairs, which is where I lived until I was 7, which is why I'm so weird and white. Downstairs in the basement, she thinks that Kuze is down there, so she goes down there, and she finds it's just him on the telephone because he disappears in that block thing that happens when someone hangs up in this world. And he goes away, and Batarang follows her down there. Batarang follows her down there, and there's a bunch of explosives, and she's like, oh no, and then she just kind of, she pushes Batarang back, right? And then she turns back to face the explosion instead of hunkering down. Like, she turned back around. Like, you know what? I want to watch this.
This looks pretty cool.
I wonder if anyone's having seizures right now.
Yes.
Colors.
So, I don't know. That just seemed kind of weird, but why did the puppet master try to kill her while she was trying to get down there? Kuze, excuse me. Why did the Kuze try to kill her while she was going down there if he wanted her to join him? Because at this point, she's already done the deep dive into the geisha, and he's become fascinated with her, as he said.
Maybe he wanted to see what she was capable of?
Why? They're just going to escape into a network, apparently.
That's true. If he was, like, more jealous of her because he just got tossed to the side, I feel like that's just a gigantic plot hole almost, because you're like, how does this make sense? Like,
You've drawn a hole in the air with your hands.
Yes, I did.
Thank you, because now I understand what we're talking about.
I did it for you.
Thank you. So, yeah, later on, though, Kuze does actually capture Major. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how. It's one of those parts of the movies that I just, like, I tried so hard. I watched the trailers again. I can't remember how that happened. Whatever. So anyway, he captures her, and they have a long talk about his origins and how he was one of the failures that preceded her. I liked the voice effect. I thought that they did a really good job of making him intimidating but at the same time tragic.
I liked his movements. They were interesting to me. Like how he...
Yeah, his body language was really interesting.
Yeah, and I thought the actor did well to... Whatever his part in that was, he did well.
It was a bit overdramatic a couple of times, I thought. But to be fair, you leaned over to me halfway into the first scene. She leans over, she goes, I feel like I'm watching a cartoon. I was like, well, it's based on an anime.
I had no idea.
And she goes, oh.
See, that's one of the main things. I feel like people might like this a bit more if they saw the anime.
But I feel like people will hate it if they love the anime.
That's
because
true.
It goes off the rails a little bit.
But then at some parts, because there's like other people who are in the theater and I'm here and I'm confused and they're freaking out, and it's like that moment when you're with your friends and they all have that inside joke and you're just on the outside like, I don't understand. What?
Emmy, how often does this happen to you? Because you said it with pain in your eyes.
Too much.
Oh no.
I
go to high
understand
school.
you because I'm usually that person. Like, I don't understand. I'll just smile and say yeah.
You smile, nod as it goes over your head.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. Yeah, but I think that, yeah, his voice effect, it was kind of like a man mixed with Siri. So that was fun. Major goes to confront Dr. Ule after talking with Kuze, and she asks how many people died before she was created, and 98 died before her. And what makes this really bad is we find out later that these were all teenagers who were abducted. Mm-hmm. So really, really tough to reconcile with. So, but you know what they say, 99th time's the charm when you're creating cyborgs. So... Good job, guys. Can we talk about villains for a second?
Sure.
Let's talk about antagonists, conflict, all that fun stuff that makes movies actually interesting, right? I think I know why this movie doesn't stick and why it's not that interesting. Because Cutter, our main villain, who is the head of Hanka Robotics, Tonka. Anyway,
building trucks.
Building trucks. I had a Tonka. I'm getting off topic. Cutter, I almost said Honka. Cutter's supposed to be the main villain of this movie, but he's not really there a lot, and he's not interesting when he is. He's very cookie cutter.
I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, he just shows
evil.
up, right?
Mwahaha.
He has the one yellow eye, so we know he's at least part werewolf. But he just shows up and goes, "We're gonna make another cyborg" a few times, and that's all he does. And the other part of this is that everyone at Hanka Robotics, I don't know, at the robotics company, knew that Kuze was the puppet master and that he was the one doing these terrorist acts, but nobody said anything about it. And so for me, that makes all the doctors who were a part of creating these cyborgs more interesting and compelling antagonists than the person that was the main antagonist, because they all had intimate knowledge of the project and said nothing. I mean, we know because of Major's talk with Dr. Ulay that she didn't ask where the bodies were coming from. She just did her work and kept her head down. So they didn't know that these were teenagers, but they knew that something was probably sketchy if they're getting 99 dead bodies to stuff into a robot suit. Like, I'm sorry. After about the 10th one, you got to go, hey, where are you getting those brains? We know it's not another Tin Man, so come on. Where are you getting these? And then Cutter would be like, I'm evil. And then someone would go, you know what? Maybe I should quit. Just saying. If that's all he's going to do.
Quitting means you're getting killed.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they're more interesting because they have more of a moral dilemma. Mm-hmm. Cutter didn't have any moral dilemma. He was just like, it's my company needs more money.
He was just a jerk.
Yes, I agree completely. And Cutter tells Dr. Ulay to destroy Major not long after this. But instead, Dr. Ulay does, a nice thing and gives Major a key to her past, or a key to her apartment. Same thing, metaphorically. And she sets Major free. So Cutter just shoots her. And goes,
runs away.
So I do want to say that scene when Dr. Ulay lets Major go and she runs out and takes down those guys in the hallway, and then that sliding and jumping stuff.
That was cool.
So much fun to watch.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
I cared for a total of 30 seconds while I was watching that scene, and then I just kind of forgot again what was happening.
During the part where she was, putting the other stuff in her brain, except for, that red junk he gave him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the words are.
Instead of the bad stuff, she put the good stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the technical terms, if I remember correctly.
And she was, still trying to be evil, and she was all like, we never needed your consent, and she goes... And that just made me die laughing. They were trying to be so serious, and I was like, please stop.
Please stop whatever you're doing.
But then she started kicking butt, so it was okay.
Yeah. So after that, Major goes to the apartment where her mother lives, and she meets her, but she doesn't exactly reveal herself as, I'm your dead daughter who's stuffed inside... a tin can with fingers. And they do seem to have an understanding, though. So I think her mom, knows in that first one, because she says, you remind me of her because of the way you look at me. And so there's definitely that understanding there. Mm-hmm. And so, but this seems to be the only scene that really has any real humanity aside from the trash guy in the box. Because maybe that's intentional. I don't know. Maybe the whole point is that we felt as disconnected from everyone as Major. But we should have at least felt connected to Major if that's what they were trying to do. I think this was just something got cut, or the script went through a rewrite to make it easier to do or something. And I don't know. I feel like we needed more of that internal struggle that Major has throughout the film. Because she says stuff like, everyone's connected to something that I'm not. But then that's all we know about it. We don't really see her struggle with that, Mm-hmm. So, again, the script failed everyone else, but kudos to the visual effects artists.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. I had a bit of a hard time with Major's mom's lines. I had to really focus to know what she was saying because of her thick accent. And there's nothing wrong with her accent. That's authentic. But I do know that some people probably missed some important information during that scene because she was a little bit hard to understand sometimes.
I feel like sometimes they need captions for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only captions we got were for the leader of Section 9.
Yeah.
And he's a legend in film in Japan. So, they're not going to be like, you have to learn English. He'd be like, no. And a subtitle would pop up at the bottom. But so that was the only thing we got subtitles for. I was just like, why are we switching from English to Japanese? It's happening. Whatever. Okay. So, but
the only thing that confused me, about their conversation.
Which one? There are several.
No, there's one, he would speak to her in Japanese, and then she would speak back in English.
Yeah, I wish they had at least been consistent in making them converse with him in Japanese.
How does he know what she's saying?
Yeah. I do like that the captions kind of were worked into the art of the frame a lot. It wasn't just at the bottom. They kind of made it a part of it, and I felt like that was a good choice. So kudos on that. Definitely, if someone's speaking in Japanese and that's the only language they're going to speak through the whole film, have the other people speak to that person in Japanese.
Yeah.
They're getting paid enough money to learn 4 lines in Japanese. I'm just saying. So let's get to the end of the movie here. Let's talk about everything that happened when things got quote-unquote exciting. So,
if that's what you want to call it.
Sure.
I forgot the end for half a second. I was like, wait, what?
And you just watched this an hour ago.
I did. I literally came straight here from the theater.
So Major goes to find Kuze, and they learn their real names at the shack that she'd been seeing the glitch of this shack throughout the whole movie, but never the cat again for some reason. And she'd been seeing this shack, and they find it, and they go inside, and their names are written on the wall, and they go, your name was this. And he's like, your name was this. And they're like, yay, we have names. And they find out they were taking his children from this place in the Forbidden Zone, whatever that was. And Cutter and his company are using these kids to make the cyborg program work. Yeah, so I felt like that was... A lot of this is taken from the source material of the anime, so... The people who did the rewrite on this don't get credit for making that a really terrible thing to imagine. They stole it. So Cutter just sends in a freaking spider tank.
Okay, just the spider tank alone. When it came in here, I don't know if you guys have seen Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Haven't, no.
Don't watch it. The first scene is this gigantic spider tank, and whenever that came in, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
We just hit that area of Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider.
Now, granted, this is, again, straight from the anime. The spider tank was in the anime as well, but goodness. I feel like that whole thing should have been so much fun to watch. It should have been intense. It should have been, fun. Mm-hmm. I was bored.
She stayed so far away from it. She was on balconies, and I was like, I want to see you go up and punch it. Just hit it with a stick.
She did. Just grab my little spoon with the crusty sock on it and go wave it in its face.
I wasn't excited. I was just sitting there. Usually I can get somewhat about the fight scene. No, not here. Yeah. I was just... When is it over?
You're so bored talking about it that you're braiding your hair. I do like that the bullets from the Spaker tarn.
Spider.
Spurter. The spider tank, the bullets it was spitting out ate away at the cover she was hiding in, and she kind of had to change how she was hiding behind it to keep from getting shot. I thought that was really good. They used that pretty well, I thought. But then the whole half of that balcony thing collapses, and she does the Legolas run up that. It's that's not how physics work. Stop doing this. Why has no one said you can't do this in a movie? It looks stupid.
Because they think it looks cool.
Well, after watching the third Hobbit movie, and I haven't, I've just seen clips of that and laughed and then got sad and cried because they've ruined my childhood. I don't say that lightly, too, but The Hobbit I read 8 times when I was 8 years old, and I loved that book, and then they ruined it. What?
It's too much.
It's not enough. It was so good. So, Anyway, I don't want to be the internet. They didn't ruin my childhood. They just made it sad. There. But you can't do this whole running up, falling rubble thing. Physics literally says it's impossible, whether you're a cyborg or not, especially because her body is supposed to be heavier than everyone else's by a ton. Mm-hmm. She's metal with some jello on the inside that Emmy pokes.
Red jello.
Red jello. So, why did they keep doing that? Anyway, the spider tank grabs Kuze by the head with a little arm that was there just for that purpose, I assume. Kind
of shot out.
Yep. Like, was it crushing his skull? What was happening there?
I don't know. I was confused. It's like, okay, what's happening? Or are they just look into my eyes?
And he was like totally fine. Didn't move or anything. Yeah. He was kind of dangling like, there.
I think once he went, but that was it. I think that's the thing is there was never any high stakes.
Yeah.
It was just like that thing's just going to hold him there until it blows up.
Yeah.
Who cares? He's a robot. He disappears into other bodies whenever he wants. So, whatever. He's just a ghost in a shell. I'm not proud of that one. Major jumps down off of that balcony after it blows up and literally just punches this thing in the head.
I was trying to get from laughing during that part because it was like...
Yeah. Major's sitting there punching the crap out of this tank and she's just over there giggling like she just watched Mean Girls again. And... I will say this. Once she starts to pull on the thing and her synthetic skin is ripping open everywhere.
Cool. That was really cool.
That was awesome. Her arm literally rips off. And I was expecting it to rip off as it came off, but instead it was like, I loved the physics of this shot where it flips back and that final kind of like yank pulls her arm apart. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I loved that. That was so good. This is a beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what you should do? When it comes out, rent it, watch it with the sound off, and just appreciate the visuals. There's a shot where they're on the boat. It's Major and Batarang, and they're having a conversation, and the camera's looking down at her, and so we see her, and then behind her the water, and in the water the reflections of the lights from the city, and it's just like, I looked at it, I was like, that is just so beautiful and calm and serene, and I love it. And so, yeah, just watch this with me. It'll make more sense. I appreciate the geishas and the lights in the water. And then the milk bath. I love the milk bath. That was great. I'm going to take a bath in milk after this. No, I'm not.
No.
I can't afford it.
No.
Aldi's has cheap milk. Let's go to Aldi's and get some milk. We'll fill the swimming pool and I'll just go get a nice good soak going.
Except when it turns gross.
Yeah. You don't want to take a curdled bath. So Kuze, after they're both laying on the ground, he tells her to come with him into his network. I don't really know what that is. They didn't really explain that very much, I don't think. Am I wrong?
No.
Hey, people are agreeing with me this week. This is weird. Normal people are throwing things at me and stabbing me.
That comes later.
Oh.
I kind of feel like
away.
He was like giving her his strength in a way. I don't know.
No, he disappeared. His eyes took a milk bath and he disappeared.
He's like, bye-bye. And it's like, okay, you went into the network?
What does that mean?
But then she freaked out when your head got blown off.
Again, you're reading right from my script. Because she screams no. Like, yeah. He disappears and it's like, he's gone. And then they shoot him and she goes, no. I'm like, but isn't his ghost gone? Like,
it's fine. He could just, float into that big old spider thing if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's good.
He could be a ghost and a spider. Ghost spiders. No, I'm not okay with ghost spiders.
Arachnoghostia. Mind blown.
That was a ghost noise I didn't intend. I'm the ghost. I don't have 8 arms. I hate myself. Major's... She's put back into action after this, right? So Batarang comes up and he's like, are you still in there? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, she could be lying, but cool, whatever. And they go and fix her up and give her some more jello. She's right as rain pretty soon. And then she's on top of a building and it ends with her voiceover saying something. This is not an exact quote, but from what I remember, she said, the best thing we have is our humanity. My ghost survived and stayed here to remind people of that. How? What is human about jumping on top of a spider tank and ripping your arm off after taking a milk bath? What about these things are human?
I honestly have nothing to say to that.
Right?
It's like, what?
I don't know.
I feel like the writers are just like, we need something cool to say. Let's figure it out right now.
Inspiration.
It's not okay. It may not be.
They're sitting around a table at their meeting, and they go, all right. So how do we end this? Inspiration.
It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to sound cool.
You remember the end of The Dark Knight? He's not the hero that the world deserves, but it's the one they need right now. Something like that. Just confuse people to the point where they can't question it. That's the goal.
No,
Inspiration.
Inspiration. Change the lives.
And just make sure it says ghost somewhere. You know what I'd rather watch? Danny Phantom.
Oh, yes.
So much better. If her ghost stayed behind to remind humanity that humanity is important, it didn't work. Because no one's going to remember this movie next year. So.
I've given it 2 hours and I forgot half of it. So.
Yep. So it's that time where we play a game before we give this a rating. So if you could have any cyborg part, what would you get? Emmy, guess go first.
Ooh.
This is not a rule we've had in the past. You're our first guest, but now it's a rule.
Now it is. I don't know. I mean, maybe the stomach thing would be cool if it wasn't for my liver and it was for food. Like, hey.
Oh, you stole it from Katie, the foodie.
That was a good one. I didn't think about that, but that was good.
So would you actually have a second stomach installed for ice cream?
Just for ice cream, yes.
Yes.
Because that is like Jesus food right there.
On the third day, it froze again. All right, Katie, your turn.
I thought the eyes were pretty cool.
Like Batarang's eyes, or the eyes that the doctor lady had that just take off your whole face?
Batarang's eyes. It would look freaky on my face, but
It's like,
Can you imagine waking up to that? You roll over, good morning. Let's see. If I had to have, or if I could get any cyborg part, I would get... That's a good question. You know why I always make someone else go first? It's because I forget to do mine ahead of time. If I could have any cyborg part, I would get a metal pinky toe on each foot so that I can stop slamming it into tables and screaming obscenities. So I can just go, ding, moving on. Mine are so crooked, I've broken them many times. Anyway, so let's give this movie a rating. I'm going to give it 3 Danny Phantoms out of 10.
okay.
Thanks for the feedback.
I would give it 4 geishas out of 10.
Ooh. Nice. Emmy?
what?
4 geishas. The
Geishas.
robot geishas. The ones
robot
who
geishas.
will be in your nightmares because they crawl up
You
walls.
guys, I can't remember the names of any of these people except for Major.
Then just come up with a stupid rating. It doesn't have to be it doesn't even have to be out of 10. You could do out of 6 if you wanted.
You do ghost,
I already did Danny Phantom.
Spider tanks.
Ooh, spider tanks.
Aye.
Do your thing.
They got 8 legs. All right. Out of 8 spider tank legs, I would give it a 2.
2 spider tank legs.
Yeah,
Oh,
only
no.
the 2 for visual effects.
So it's like that spider that you whacked a couple times and then ended up behind the oven.
If I was just giving it for visual
Yeah.
effects, I would give it probably a 7 for visual effects.
I'd give it
Yes.
an 8.
If we could break this up, it would be easier because it was like visual effects were amazing.
All right, so what do you give visual effects? How many legs out of spider tanks?
Out of 8 spider tank legs, I would probably give it an 8.
Yeah?
Like, it was right. I want to watch that again, not the whole movie.
I would give it
On
seven-
silent.
Yes.
7.5 out of 10 for visual effects,
Yeah.
4 for the script. 4 out of 10 for the script.
I give it 1 out of 8 spider tank legs for the script because it was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But I give it I think I'll give it an 8 for the visual effects.
Yeah.
8 out of 8 spider tank legs. So, yeah. Well, thanks for listening. Emmy, thanks for doing this. I know it was short notice, but we're glad that you made it out here. Even though that sentence didn't sound very confident, I meant it.
Thanks. No.
So, if you guys like what we're doing here, please just share with all your friends. That's the best way that people can learn about
Hold
what we're
up.
doing here. Whoa.
You didn't thank me for coming.
You're here every week.
Still.
You have no choice. I've
could
put your
thank-
mother.
You kind of have to. It's your wife.
I've put your mother in a enclosed location with a couple of bombs. You didn't really have a choice. I'm not thanking you.
How dare you?
Continues
kidding.
to stab on your table.
Ow, ow, ow. Put those back on the Segway. Thank you for being here, Katie. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're so supportive. I love you. And that wasn't sarcastic. That sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't. If you like the show, whether I thank people or not, thank you for listening. I should remember to do that. I didn't lock your mothers in an enclosed location with a bunch of explosives. So thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing here, just share it around with all your friends. We really appreciate it. I know I joke around a lot that we only have 5 people who listen, but we actually have more than 15 listens a week on SoundCloud, and then more than 15 listens a week on iTunes. So we are getting a little bit more. Some episodes are reaching up to like 50 people. So thank you guys for listening. We really, really appreciate it. We do this so that you guys can have fun and some clean entertainment and reviews. So we're enjoying this. If you want to help us keep doing this, make sure you drop us a rate on iTunes. It's super important with the iTunes charts, like how we get found and everything, so that more people find the podcast. Higher rated we are, the more ratings we have, the better that goes. So I'm sorry to pander, but it's literally the only way we can keep doing this for a longer time. So help us stay alive. Keep making that shell for our ghosts. We need more legs on our spider tank. So you can find us online. We are at RollSoundPod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also email us at rollsoundpod@gmail.com. If you have suggestions for shows, we do have a couple of episodes we don't have a topic for yet because there's no movies coming out those weekends that we want to put any money into. So definitely, if you want us to talk about the Star Wars prequels or anything like that, just send us your ideas. We'd love to hear from you guys. And thanks for listening. We always end with a goat noise. No, I think it's the guest's responsibility to do the goat noise. Give us your best goat.
Guys, I'm not sure what a goat sounds like.
Like a goat.
Sweet. Yeah, that's good to go off.
It's not as easy as it sounds, is it?
All I'm thinking is, that's what I got.
There we go. And with that, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening this week to Goats in the Shell. Goodbye.